Real music to me isn't just a sound, but it's a place of reflection and education. When I'm upset or angry, lost, whatever it is, I somehow always find myself in these places, creating a soundscape around myself. It's the touch of melodramatic that I'm in love with. Under Cloudy Skies is a bitterly honest song. I was going through a briefly tough time, but I didn't want to write about it. I have enough sad songs, and sure, writing is a release and a creative output for me, but I didn't want to come off as someone who only has depressing songs. Eventually, I stumbled across a lyric draft from around 18 months ago that had been laying in my pool house. I read them, and it was originally the concept of a generic breakup song. Except there was this guy saying that he'll roam under cloudy skies, except, he's looking for this companion, wondering if he'll ever be good enough. Under cloudy skies, is obviously the representation of it's not going to be a lucky time for him. And when I read that, it resonated with me so much, and I fell for my own bait. So I just had to slap myself in the face and say, look, Ed, you're constantly looking for the perfect opportunity to write something. Great, so you'd be a fool not to use this to your advantage. So the universe is telling you to write this, you found these lyrics. So I got to writing, and I didn't add all that many lyrics to what I already had. It felt so perfect. I knew that if I were going to write this song, then it needs to be different, it needs to be fresh, it needs to be set apart from other songs. It's something completely new that will be the seed of my third album. The first thing that I heard for the music in my head was the heartbeat. That I wanted that loop throughout the start of the song and to close the song. In fact, right at the end, I had this idea of adding a delay and panning each side so that you hear it as and then finally the big and it was kind of the idea of the repeat getting closer each time as well. So the final kind of heartbeat was in sync with each other, as if it was two hearts trying to, and then two hearts beating as one. What did I mean by that? Who knows? But I think perhaps it was the exception and letting go. I'm fine with incorporating synth and all that in music, but the only trouble is with it is that even with modern music nowadays, there's just no life in it, even when it's using real instruments, because everything gets so synced and automated that it doesn't have the life in it that it would have if it wasn't. Everything's just too produced. And when it's a song that's filled with real instruments, you can usually hear the musicians' hearts bleeding through them. Instruments are expressive things, and when it's synth, and it's all synth, so automated, you can't hear people playing them, and it loses that life. So there's a lack of life in this generation of music. Anyway, I created that loop, and I wanted this big open space by using reverbs, particularly on that electric snare. And yet that acoustic guitar and the vocal kind of bring it in so that it's so intimate and it just feels so close to you. I think the lyrics, they are so personal, but incredibly universal, which isn't something I've ever really tried to do. I always try to make it specific. So I think it's a song that you hear differently depending on how you feel when you listen to it. There are always multiple voices in the song, I knew that. I thought maybe it's myself and whoever this past lover is. I know that there's my own voice of reason trying to talk to that small dying voice inside that gets all soppy, telling it that things are going to be alright. That is how it's a song of reflection, and the music video in particular tries to show that. I didn't want to just make a performance video that was 5 minutes long, because it's a ballad, and if it would just get so dull if I did that. So, being a storyteller, I wanted to add this subtle narrative throughout the whole video. And let's go through it. There's a guy who's sad and lonely and about whatever he's just been through, and then he stumbles across these lyrics, and yeah, that's right. It's literally exactly what was just happening, and I just wanted to show that. And he's searching for that clarity, and through the writing he finds it. Things with this person were never great. We always knew it was headed to this place, and that's okay. It was meant to happen like that, and when people exit my life, I'll always just try and carry the best of them and the memories forward, because I can't cast people out like that. Holding grudges is not really a way to live, and so I just kind of let things go when I can. So we open with the many questions that you'd ask yourself in the denial. How can we visit a place we never knew? Can't we start from the beginning? Is reaching back to you a stretch too far? It's trying to find the clarity that comes at the end of the song. I just want to love without being deceived. That is directly aimed at myself, because I was chasing something that I shouldn't have been. And yeah, the video shows this guy on a beach, which is kind of that voice that needs to be shut out, and it just needs to scream and shout and let the pain run dry before accepting the end. And that's the whole idea of this theatrical and overdramatic black and white video. And then in comes that full throttle bridge. Like, wow, I had that idea, that bridge. It's kind of a pop bridge in my head that I came up with when I was driving somewhere once, and like 2 years ago. So I have all these ideas in my head that but I wanted to put that in the song because I really liked it, and it was much more poppy at the time, so it didn't fit, and I had to do quite a lot of work to get it. But in my head, it was a different key. It was just like, when you're stuck in the same day, and the stars get further away, and it just didn't. I mean, that was all just in awful keys there, but yeah, it didn't fit, so I had to kind of do a lot of work there to get it. And it's in a completely different tempo as well, which I kind of wanted, because it's just such a slow song anyway, and it's kind of, I had to work quite hard to get that whole tempo change, because it's just like, alone under cloudy skies, and then finally this was the bit that it was going from that into it. It just used to go, under cloudy skies, stuck in, and it just didn't work, and it just sounded like two different songs, and it was just ridiculous. So eventually I found that whole which goes up in tempo, so alone under cloudy skies, so when you're stuck in, and so it builds up to it, and it just feels natural, and it is an amazing, yeah, I'm really proud of that bit, and I love it. It's just, you turn the guitar up to 11 and you just let it all out, and it's the emotional peak of the song, and it needs to be there. It's like, you just hear that acceptance in the final goodbye, and finally then the outro is just essentially the moving on. It took me ages to release it, because I have to get myself to a place where I can record the vocals and release it, because as an artist, you have to be in that place because you're being a storyteller while you're doing it. So I stopped at one point and thought, I've just come so far with it, why would I not just go into it and put everything into it that I've got? So I worked hard and started playing the songs, demos back to myself, which is something I started doing with a song of mine called Gridlock, which is over a year ago now. And it's a much easier way to write because instead of just having a guitar and vocals and you just doing it to yourself, because I'm not in a band or anything, I have no way of hearing these songs back to myself, so it's a much easier way to kind of get what's in my head out and then just turning it into what I want it to be and what I'm hearing in my head. So I would rehearse these and just try and embody it so that I could get inside the songs, and it was a blessing. Before I write anything important to me, I always ask, why am I writing it? And almost the best way to write is when you ask yourself, if these are your last words on something, then what are you going to say and why? And that was more important than ever on this song.